Over the course of 3.14 days, I created a new game using the Unity game engine. But this game is unlike any other complete game I've made so far because it's 3D. Okay, I've dabbled in the realm of 3D games a few times before, but I've never actually tried to make a good-looking game with 3D models and special effects and stuff. So, I challenged myself to finish a 3D platforming game in only 3 days, which was probably a bad idea now that I think about it. I mean, seriously, what was I thinking? Let's start from the beginning. I start off every game with brainstorming new ideas and innovative mechanics, but no one's got time for that. I quickly decided on making a game about speedrunning, which is where you try to beat a game as fast as possible. That's all the game design I had. Also, I had basically no Unity knowledge, so as you might expect, within the first hour I was binging Brachy's tutorials. I started off by familiarizing myself with these windows in the Unity editor. The one on the left is a list of all the game objects in the scene. By right-clicking and creating a new capsule object, a new 3D object enters the world. That capsule will eventually become the player. The one in the middle is the scene view, which shows the 3D world with all of the game objects in it. Below here is the asset browser where you organize all of the scripts, materials, and prefabs and stuff. In the right inspector panel here, you can add or remove components to game objects. All of these components change how the game object looks, moves, and interacts with other objects. Some of these components include the transformation data to move the object, mesh renderers to draw 3D meshes in the scene, rigid bodies to manage physics, and custom C# scripts. Moving on, I decided on making the camera third person. That's where the camera isn't inside the player, but instead it revolves around the player. One tutorial later, and we're chilling with this new camera. I think it's time to make the world look better than this barren wasteland. Making the skybox wasn't too bad. I just made this texture in Photoshop and set it to a panoramic skybox and dragged it into the scene. I also made this big flat surface for the floor. And when I say big, I mean really big. You'll never reach the end of this thing. The grid texture just looks really cool too. What doesn't look cool are these platforms. The default white blocks don't really fit the aesthetic of the game, so I made this simple texture in Photoshop to replace it. However, it doesn't really look good when just slapped on the blocks. So I decided to mess around with shaders. Now I have no clue what a shader even is. It sounds like something that you'd find in a dark alleyway. So I just messed around with Unity's pre-built shaders for 30 minutes until I found the perfect shader. It was an additive shader that makes the platforms glow with a specified color. Now the world looks fabulous, and the player still looks like this. Now that green bean of a player is looking pretty dapper, but it's time for it to go. That means it's time to 3D model. 15 minutes in, however, is when I realized I'm really bad at 3D modeling. But that didn't stop me. I kept adding details and shapes until it looked good. I blew at least a few hours on this, but I'm actually surprised with how cool it turned out, with it being my first time making a detailed 3D character. Next, I exported it to Unity, and now we have a robot. Now, before you say that this character is hot garbage 2.0, just know that he has wheels on his shoes to move. Yeah. Okay, now you can say it. The character does need to be animated. There's a slight problem though. Animation and rigging is way harder than I thought. Apparently you have to put these bones throughout the character and then manually change them one by one or something to animate them. But that's not what I actually did. I have to give credit where credit is due. I did not make the animations. If I did, I would still be figuring out how to rig characters to this day. I used an online program that Adobe made called Mixamo. Evidently, you can just upload the FBX file you made in Blender, tell it where the arms and legs are, and it automatically animates your character to do all sorts of things. It's absolutely insane. How is this free to use? Adobe, I don't know how you did it, but Mixamo is just way too overpowered. Anyways, I imported all the animations and now the player looks super awesome. Now, just place lots of platforms around for a while, and you've got the first level. The second level has two other kinds of blocks, the lava and ice blocks. Lava blocks make you lose, and ice blocks have no friction. This level turned out pretty cool. The final level has speed blocks, which make you go faster. Add a little bit of post-processing, and the game is complete. A few days later, I felt inspired to work on the game again for some reason. I saw potential in the game, and I really wanted to make it polished. I also had lots more ideas for extra block types and levels. So that's what I did for the next week. Now, after another week, the game is looking good with more levels, extra modes, and a windscreen. It even has an appearance of Unity's particle system in the final level. It's free to play on itch.io, so if you want to play it, it's in the description. Keep in mind that it was made in a short time period, and I'm not a professional game developer, so don't expect the new Mario Odyssey or Hat in Time. It's just a simple, fun platformer. This whole thing was a great learning experience for me, so thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Have a great day.